Tonight, did President Trump just tweet a message directly to the Skull and Bones and the Freemasons? According to Serial Brain 2, that's exactly what happened. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. For those of you who don't know, every episode starts the same way. I thank all my subscribers because there's always new subscribers, and if you haven't hit that subscribe button already, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell notifications so you can be notified as soon as these videos get posted, because as soon as the information is made available to me, I make it available to you. So tonight we have a lot to cover, and it's not really coming from the Q boards. A couple clarifications I want to make about the last video is talking about this post right here. It says timelines change, watch the budget Q. And what this was referring to was this post here, which was talking about how the military parade was basically canceled down in DC in November. Now, a lot of people are speculating that this is just like what happened with the North Korea summit, saying that somehow there was basically it's like a ploy, basically, where if you think about it, they threatened to cancel the North Korea summit, but then it still went through. This is the same thing when they came out with all these fake numbers about how much it was going to cost, and General Mattis even went out and basically called all these people out on their lies and said they don't even know what they're talking about. That's why they have to contribute anonymously. So that's what's going to be happening here. And for tonight's video, I apologize for the quality of the microphone. We've had to go to some backup equipment, and but the message and information is still the same, so you guys can stick around for that. If you want to get caught up and learn all about those last few Q posts, please come here and watch this video. It's kind of important. There's a lot covered here, and these last two actually cover a lot, and they've been demonetizing these videos regularly. So basically, a lot of these videos I'm not making anything off of. So obviously, I'm on target, right? So that's good. That's a good step in the right direction. Now, if you're scratching your head going, what's QAnon? I really encourage you all to come here, watch this video, and you'll learn a lot about, not just what QAnon is, but how you can get involved with the research and how you can find out more about, where the research is done, how to get involved with it, what are the kind of guidelines for getting involved with it, and so on and so forth. Now, tonight's video is not going to focus on Q posts. Actually, it's going to focus mainly on this post on the Great Awakening board over on Reddit from Serial Brain 2, and I'll link to this post in the description. But we're going to read through it, and I want to deliver this information to you, and I want to say thank you to Serial Brain 2, because I am so thankful whenever he posts. I read all of his posts almost, or I try to. I probably don't get them all. But and they're really doing a number on his posts on the Great Awakening board to keep them from getting into the top positions. But that being said, when I look at this information, it talks about gematria, which is basically number codes, right? If you just basically take the 1, 2, 3 ABC value of a word and then translate that into a number value. So, for instance, the word AC would in gematria be the number 4, because A is 1 and C is 3. So if you guys get that, you can get pretty much what we're talking about here. Now, I want you guys to read this, or to listen to this as I report it, with an open mind. Think about this. Not everything in here is going to really make a whole lot of sense at first, but once you get through the whole article, it does definitely tie back in. And if you have doubts, that's totally fine. I encourage you all to go do your own research and figure out whether or not you think this is true or not. I'm just reporting this and giving you the information as it's been posted here on the Reddit board. And again, thank you to Serial Brain 2 for the important work that they're doing on this. Now, this is talking about something very interesting. We talk about secret societies, but the title of Serial Brain's article here says, "The Boston Globe Media Operation, the Illuminati Against Trump." Well, that's fascinating, and we're just going to start reading it because these posts are always great. It says, "As you may already know, the Boston Globe newspaper is currently leading a coordinated media attack against Trump under the disguise of defending the freedom of press. In this article," and it links to this article right here, the Yahoo News piece says, "The newspaper is calling for a war of words against Trump media attacks." Okay. Interesting. "The Associated Press informed us last week that the Boston Globe has reached out to the editorial board to editorial boards nationwide to write and publish editorials on August 16, 2018, denouncing what the newspaper called a, quote, dirty war against the free press." And here's a graphic that was put together explaining all of the headlines, kind of cutting them all together, showing that the Boston Globe is rallying newspapers against President Trump. Well, great. In response to this attack, President Trump tweeted this. The Boston Globe, which was sold to the failing New York Times for $1.3 billion plus $800 million in losses in investment, or $2.1 billion, was then sold by the Times for $1. Now the Globe is in collusion with other papers on free press. Prove it. Does this make sense to anyone? Not really. I mean, it didn't make any sense to me when I read it. I kind of read it like a lot of times. I was reading it back and forth going, what does this mean? I mean, I get what the general sentiment of it is, but I didn't get what it means until I read this piece by Serial Brain, and I thought it was very important, so that's why I'm sharing it with you guys here tonight. So let's just go into the next one. It says, as you can see, the quote-unquote prove it at the end gave the tweet a cryptic touch that prevented Mockingbird Media from understanding Trump's message. And then you can see here they have the New York Times coming out saying, Trump says newspapers are in collusion on championing a free press, and Trump also added, "Prove it" in one of the messages, though it was not clear what he meant. And of course, right here you have the Boston Globe, another one talking about puzzlingly added the words "prove it." Again, they're both covering it. So it says, what is Trump really saying in this tweet? Let's decipher it. First, the obvious. He is describing the scandalous transactions made by the New York Times when it bought the Boston Globe in 1993 to resell it 20 years later at an infinitesimal fraction of its purchase price, and writing in its books a 94% loss. As you can see here, at the time, the media picked up on it, and it gives this graphic here explaining how back in 2013 when this happened, a lot of media outlets were actually reporting on this regularly because it was a story to be discussed. Now, it says, so Trump is describing a reality. The New York Times bought the Boston Globe with real money and essentially handed over to somebody for peanuts. Now, Serial Brain has a question for us. Where would a failing and struggling newspaper that lost 94% of its value in 20 years find the energies and the credibility to lead a media campaign against the President of the United States and be followed? That's a great question. This question is going to get answered here in a minute, according to Serial Brain, but that is a great question, right? And Q Post 1688 says, there is no greater current threat to the American people than the fake news media. Hashtag controlled MSM study Nazism. Look, then that's where we're headed with this kind of anti-fascist, fascist movements, and the way that the media basically just pours gas on it and keeps them going with their fake news and their fake coverage and their basically their coverage of this nothing story, the hoax that they've created to cover to get President Trump impeached and to cause chaos in our country. Yeah, that is happening. It says, now let's look at the numbers Trump provides. This is where things get really interesting. As you can see, to describe the transaction, he is having an auditor approach, while those who are trying to debunk him with other numbers have an investor approach. Whatever the real numbers are, since we have already agreed there was at least 94% loss in this transaction, Trump can now code, quote unquote, his message using the numbers that will guide us to what he is really saying. Let's analyze. He says $1.3 billion plus $0.8 billion losses and investment equals $2.1 billion purchase price. Do you see it? Look and follow the process very carefully. Well, here we go. This lays out what he's going to explain here, and it is pretty interesting. He's talking about 322 skull and bones. Now, this is you know, for me, it's not really a stretch, because when you follow this stuff on a daily basis, you understand that not only does Q hide these messages inside of his posts, but it seems quite obvious that President Trump hides a lot inside of his tweets. So we have to take this with a grain of salt, but also understand that there could be some really valid explanation here. But it takes all the numbers. It throws out this 0.8, it brings together the 1.3 and the 2.1, which is 3 and 2, and then you add the 1 and the 1, you get 322, and obviously 322 is the skull and bones. Okay, you know, some things can seem like a stretch at first, but keep following, and you guys let me know what you think in the comments, because I'm just reporting this because I thought it was an important story that needed to get out there, and I'd like to get it to you guys so you can spread it to others. So it says, so again, we are in Skull and Bones 322 territory. Trump is telling us the people who made this transaction, who are now instrumentalizing the Boston Globe against him, are none other than the Skull and Bones secret society he is fighting to free the country and the world. Understand, folks, this is what they do. The reason why the Boston Globe can be used to do whatever they want is because the new owner is just a puppet and there is no industrial incentive in the company anymore. It's just a conduit for political operations. Look at this post that he gives us here, talking about John Henry and how he bought it. This is interesting. It says, in March 2006, the Boston Magazine estimated Henry's net worth at $1.1 billion, but noted that his company had recently experienced difficulties. In November of 2012, so 6 years later, the company announced that it would stop managing clients' money by the end of the year, and Henry confirmed that total assets under the firm's management had fallen from $2.5 billion in 2006 to less than $100 million in 2012. As of 2017, Forbes estimated his net worth to be $2.6 billion. Then here it says the magic of secret societies, buddy business, and fake billionaires. The buyer's company assets shrink from $2.5 billion to less than $100 million, but it did not prevent him from acquiring the Boston Globe at a price he could afford, which was $70 million. We'll talk about that in a second. Now it says, and it gives this link down here to kind of verify where that information came from if you want to read about John Henry and what he's into. It says, does this ring a bell? The fake billionaires they create as fronts. Q133, and this is one of Q's earlier posts talking about public wealth disclosures, false, which is incredibly accurate when you talk about a lot of this stuff. Then Q goes all the way back, Serial Brain goes all the way back to Q post number 6, where it says, why did Soros transfer his bulk funds to a nonprofit? Note, this doesn't include massive slush funds that are pulled by several high-ups. So what that transfer is referring to, obviously, is the transfer of George Soros's funds. I think he transferred about $17 billion into his nonprofit organizations, and the main one being the Open Society Foundation, which is his basically globalist initiative, whatever you want to call it. And now going into the next part, now that we know what we are dealing with, let's go deeper in the tweet. Did you notice the repetition in the sold the failing? Yes. We did notice that when we read the tweet. The was there twice. Error? No. Once again, this is the Twitter account of the President of the United States. And it says, I think it's supposed to say the President of the United States of America, who can afford any Ivy League graduate to correct his tweets. This repetition is there for a purpose. What is the gematria of the? Yes, it's 33. What is 33? Yes, Freemasonry. It's the number of degrees in the Scottish Rite. Interesting. The Freemasons have joined Skull and Bones to fight Trump. We already knew there was an occult connection between Skull and Bones and Freemasonry, but to see them exposed like this in a presidential tweet is unprecedented. Now, for some of you guys out there who are skeptical of this, all I ask you to do is look at this with an open mind and understand that if you're following Q and you're understanding the battle that we're in against these people, then you understand that the occult are really a big part of this. And Q even says many times their symbolism will be their downfall. And these men and women who are in these organizations, predominantly men usually, are driven by the motivation to put their little coded messages out to their to everyone in the world so that they can give their little, as Serial Brain puts it, shout out, which is just giving them more power. Because if you give them the secret message and put it into public, and you know, it's like it's a little game they play, and it makes their little minions feel confident and invincible. So it says, yeah, we went over that. Now it says it's the number of degrees in Scottish Rite, and it says the Freemasons have joined Skull and Bones. Yes, okay, so we covered all that. Now it says let's go even deeper. Do you see this collusion, quote unquote? POTUS put it in capital letters to give us the clue we had to focus on it. What is the gematria? 120. What is the gematria of Masonic logic? Yes, 120. So that's, and again, these are stretches, but guys, you got to understand that there's coded messages they're sending between one another, and there's coded messages being sent back to them now. So this is a way to do it without actually, showing your hand, really. You're covering it and you're exposing it and you're shining a light on it in a little bit more of an underhanded, a little bit more of a covert way. Because the reality is that you can't just come out and say, if the President Trump got on Twitter literally and said, yeah, Skull and Bones and the Freemasons are enacting a conspiracy to undermine my presidency, I don't even know. I think he would probably get impeached the next day because they would call him crazy. They would say he's a conspiracy nut. I don't know. But yeah, it says coincidence. No, it's the answer to the challenge, prove it. By saying prove it, Trump is essentially saying, can you find any logic in buying a major newspaper that had no particular problems and resell it with a 94% loss a few years later? The answer is there is none. It's a Masonic logic. And that makes total sense to me. It says this is the way secret societies do business, buddy business. They use vulnerable puppets that would carry assets for them, but in reality, they manage these assets and make them do whatever they want, like organizing a coordinated media attack against POTUS. It says, how about this? Prove it. Gematria, 105. What is the gematria of Masonry? Yes, also 105. This is the final confirmation POTUS has given us. We can now draw the following graphic. And this kind of lays it out. The V mentions the 33rd degree Masons. The 105 is the Masonry, and or prove it is the 105 in Masonry, and collusion is the 120 in Mason logic. And when we go right back here, it says, now you have to remember this Masonry equals 105. This number is a very important number for them. I will show you more about it but before, take a look at the history of the Boston Globe as they proudly describe it. And it gives this link to the Boston Globe website where they actually explain how it was started in 1872 by this guy, Eben George, on March 4th, 1872. Now, it says, as you can see, the company was created in 1872 and published its first issue on March 4th, 1872. Did you catch it? 4 equals 3/4, 3, 4 equals 322, 322 Skull and Bones. Then the company changed ownership only twice, acquisition by the New York Times in 1993 for $1.1 billion and acquisition by John Henry in 2013. Notice they don't disclose the price. What if I told you that these dates, just like the date of the first publication, are not random? That's what the Illuminati do. They code everything with numbers and dates to give shout-outs to their false priests and divinities. Very much so. Here it lays out this graphic talking about there was 121 years, and I really don't know where he pulled the Antichrist from, where he pulled this stuff from, but the founder of the Illuminati, you guys put this together however you want. To me, I'm still working on it as for myself, so I want to hear what you guys have to think in the comments, really. So now let's go back to the number 105, the gematria of value of Masonry. As I told you earlier, this number is of utmost importance to Freemasons. The address of the Boston Globe offices is 1 Exchange Place, Boston. Gematria of Exchange Place is 104. Add the 1 of the address, and there's your 105. Have you ever wondered why InfoWars and Alex Jones gematria are both 105? These are talking about the word InfoWars and the word Alex, or the phrase Alex Jones, the name. What are the odds? Always remember Alex's meltdown on Syria, which we all saw that, where he basically says F Trump and how he's, he hates him and how he, it was probably, to me, when I saw that rant from Alex Jones on President Trump, it was one of the most disrespectful things I'd ever seen Alex do. And not only that, it really showed me his true colors. Other than, I'm thankful for what Alex Jones did. He's been red pilling people for a long time, but then a lot of questions come up when you do a lot of research, and then you see how he's so anti-Q, him and all of his little squad of minions, that it's just like we're already red pilled. We don't really need Alex anymore. We can just keep going and doing our own research, and that's what I feel like, and that's the way I go about it. But if you're still watching Alex, go ahead, I would say watch it with a grain of salt. And then Ciro says, what are the odds? Always remember Alex's meltdown on Syria. You saw the real Alex who hates Trump, his family, and what he represents, Q and us. Don't be fooled. With God's help, Trump is implementing a strategy to take down all the secret societies and put an end to their rituals harming us and or our children. And as a result, all their members and allies hate him. As simple as that. This is it, my friends. This is it. Everything you have read, all the research you have done in the past, the friends you lost because they said you were a conspiracy theorist, everything you have gathered and that took you to Q is now happening right in front of your eyes. For the first time, we have a president of the United States who is standing and fighting the Satanists who have destroyed our country and our planet. It's happening. And every day, Trump is giving us news from the battlefield. Every day, he is tweeting and talking to us or to let us know what is really going on, so that we can bypass the enemy of the people, the fake news. It says, when you are done with this post, you will see many attacks of people claiming they are Q followers, but that this gematria thing is to be dismissed, or that what I've just exposed about the Satanists is ludicrous or a conspiracy theory. That will make us look crazy. Well, I don't even have to respond. Q himself has already done so. The gematria one is Q post number 40, where Q says 4, 10, 20, A, B, C, D, E, as in Q is telling us, look at the numbers to letters, 1 to 1, A1, B2, C3, so on. And 4, 10, 20 is D, J, T, Donald J. Trump. And then the next one says conspiracy, Q 924. There's a reason the word conspiracy was made push, their weapon against the awakening. And then here it says, finally wrapping up, as we move forward, the picture of the enemy is getting clearer. You now gather from POTUS himself that this war we are engaged in is primarily spiritual. This tweet where he has coded the Illuminati and the Freemasons is the first of its kind. He tweeted in the morning, now watch the first minute of the following video to see what happened in the afternoon. Now, we'll watch this, or we don't really have to watch this video, to be quite frank, because I'm going to actually read this at the end. But what happened here in this video is President Trump allowed Mike Pompeo to open this meeting with a prayer. And what prayer did he say? He said the cadets prayer. And it's a funny thing. I think me and Mike Pompeo have the same Bible, because I just so happen to have a copy of that prayer in my Bible that I read from to you guys every episode. So we're going to go over that at the end. But that's it. Q says, truth surrounded by evil, never stop praying. Where we go one, we go all. Q. So this whole decode is put forth for your consideration. I'm not telling you to believe it or to disbelieve it. I'm literally saying, I read this, I thought it was interesting, and I really want you guys to give me your thoughts on it, because to me, this kind of information is really important to get out there. And there's a lot of people that cover this information on a regular basis, but it's just important that we keep sharing it and we keep putting it out there so that we can keep having this discussion to figure out what's real, what's fake, and to really have a truthful and honest debate about what's going on here. So I'll leave that to you guys in the comments, and I'll look forward to reading through those. But before we go, there's one more thing. I want to take a second. I want to talk about this article that came out today and what's been going on at Google. We need to keep a close eye on this, because this is going to be so important for us in the future. But Google's planning on making this censored search algorithm search program for China. And apparently the employees there are furious. And I know I've talked to some people that work at Google, at YouTube, who do not like what's going on, and they don't know why it's going on. And it's infuriating to them to have to go through this. And that's what this article basically lays out, that Sergey Brin and the other Sundar, whatever his name is, the two people in charge of Google right now are basically, they were at a meeting and they were talking about how they were going to explain and give some information, and then about what the plan will be. They'll try to be transparent with the plan for the censored search algorithms for China. And somebody at that meeting was tweeting what they were saying in real time, so the New York Times was picking it up and reporting it. So it was a fake news love fest there. And somebody actually got up on a microphone at that meeting and said F you to whoever was tweeting out that information in real time. But what's more important to take away from this article is that even the employees at Google are basically completely flabbergasted by what is going on here. And I know that's an older term, but hey, I'll use it. It's really true, and it describes exactly how they feel. They're furious about the fact that Google has actually gone down the route of being evil. Any company that starts off with their slogan being "Don't be evil," you can guarantee yourself that eventually they will become evil, and that they had to put that out there because they basically were evil from the get-go. So to me, this is just another case that shows exactly how far down the crapper, if you will, Google has gotten, and we need to make a real push to get this straightened out, whether it's through some kind of internet bill of rights, which I'm 50-50 on. Some people say it's good, some people say it's bad. I kind of see both sides. Or through some kind of regulation, some kind of trust busting, some kind of official regulatory action of Congress. I don't know. But whatever it is, there has to be something that stops this, because if you think that they're going to make some censored algorithm and just put it in China, I got a bridge, or I have a beachfront house in Idaho I'd like to sell you. Because the reality is, what's going to end up happening here is that same algorithm, the same technologies, that you don't think that they're going to put probably millions of dollars and years of research into something and then only use it in China. No. You can bet your bottom dollar that's coming right back here to the United States, and it's already being implemented through shadow banning, through delisting, through basically censorship in general, removing channels. I mean, look at what's happened. People have their whole channels removed. They get basically disappeared overnight. If Google was a country, Google would be Russia, and the head of Google would be Vladimir Putin, and anybody who said anything against Google would be digitally disappeared, like Vladimir Putin disappears his political enemies and journalists who try to cover stories that would be not favorable. That's the analogy. And that's what's coming our way, guys. So, I'm here to say we need to start ringing alarm bells. We need to start writing letters. We need to start tweeting at these people. We need to do whatever we can that's reasonable and legal to get their attention and say, look, we're not China. We're not communist, and we're not going to let you do this to our country. No matter how big Google thinks they are. They're Google, Facebook, Twitter, they're all funded. They're all basically funded by intelligence agencies and this deep state secret government. So why not just call that what it is and then get it out in the open, and let's put something on the books to keep this from getting out of hand, to getting past the point of no return. That's where I'll leave it, because to me, I'm sickened when I read this kind of stuff. I'm sickened when I read about what Google's doing and they're actually going to get in bed with China. I'm sickened when I see that Apple's moved all their encrypted keys to China. I'm sickened by the fact that most of these corporations have sold us out to China. I'm sickened by the fact that most of the business leaders in this country would rather save 5 cents an item by putting a factory in China rather than paying an extra 5 cents and having that factory here in the United States and employing people. To me, it's all got to end at some point, because it's not a free market capitalism if you're just going out and using slave labor. To me, that's not free market. That's evil. And that's what I think Google and the rest of them are getting into. So you guys, let me know what you think about that down in the comments. I'd really like to hear your thoughts on that as well. But that's going to be basically it. Again, come here and watch these videos if you want to get an idea of what Q is and get caught up. But I want to say thank you all for watching. And if you're looking for a way to help out the channel, really the best way to do it is to come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way you can join the Just Informed Talk channel and you can get the notifications when the videos get posted. But more importantly, you can let the globalists, you can let them all know that you're here watching this content, and that scares them more than anything. So that's the best way you can help out. The second best way, scroll down at the end of this video. Leave your thoughts, theories, and insights in the comments, because we don't just talk about QAnon. We talk about the mainstream media, what they will cover, what they won't cover, politics, religion, culture, everything in between. It's a great conversation. Even if you can't comment, scroll down and read through the comments. I guarantee you're going to learn something you didn't know. Now, another way to support the channel that makes a huge difference, and I really can't tell you how much this means to me, and I'm really thankful. Come over here to Just Informed on Just Informed Talk on Twitter. You can find me here at Justin_formed. Again, Justin_formed, at Justin_formed on Twitter. When you come here, give me a follow, tweet at me. I try to share tweets. I've not been doing a lot of tweeting lately, but this story really stood out to me about the Manafort jury and what's going on with CNN. If you guys want to come read that article and that tweet, come over here and find me on the Twitter at Justin_formed. Now, another way to help out the channel, if you're looking to help out financially, because like I said, they just start demonetizing videos, and it's like, oh, hey, I don't mind, because that means I'm over target. I'm on the right track here, right? But it does really affect, the bottom line for me. And if you can help, I really appreciate it. So if you can come over here to Patreon, that's patreon.com. You can search Just Informed Talk. When you come here to this landing page, click this button to become a patron. It's a monthly donation, and I can't tell you how much this means because this is what keeps me going every month. It's like the blood of this channel. Keeps me going so I can do this 24/7, 365 and report these stories that you need to hear every single day that I am here to do it. So, and another way to do it, if you want to make a one-time donation or you want to make an anonymous donation, the best way to do that is to come over here to GoFundMe. I have a GoFundMe page set up. It's gofundme.com/just-informed. You click this button, you can make an anonymous donation, a one-time donation, and I can just say thank you so much to everybody who comes here and does that. I really appreciate it. Now, with that being said, we're going to finish up with what I wanted to finish up with. And it's what we were going to look at in this video. The prayer that Mike Pompeo says. I want to share this prayer with you. And what's important about this prayer and why Serial Brain mentions it at the end here is that the tweet we cover in this whole post is made in the morning. And later that afternoon, here's what we hear from Q. And it has everything to do with this post here talking about we need to never stop praying. It gives you a good idea of who may be involved with the Q movement. And when you watch this and hear Mike Pompeo's prayer, but it's a prayer that we have both in our Bibles, interestingly enough. It is the cadet's prayer. It says, O God our Father, thou searcher of men's hearts, help us to draw near to thee in sincerity and truth. May our religion be filled with gladness, and may our worship of thee be natural. Strengthen and increase our admiration for honest dealing and clean thinking, and suffer not our hatred of hypocrisy and pretense ever to diminish. Encourage us in our endeavor to live above the common level of life. Make us to choose the harder right instead of the easier wrong, and never to be content with a half-truth when the whole can be won. Endow us with courage that is born of loyalty to all that is notable and worth, that scorns to compromise with vice and injustice, and knows no fear when truth and right are in jeopardy. Guard us against flippancy and irreverence in the sacred things of life. Grant us new ties of friendship and new opportunities of service. Kindle our hearts in fellowship with those of a cheerful countenance, and soften our hearts with sympathy for those who sorrow and suffer. May we find genuine pleasure in clean and wholesome mirth, and feel inherent disgust for all coarse-minded humor. Help us in our work and in our play to keep ourselves physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight, that we may the better maintain the honor of the corps untarnished and unsullied, and acquit ourselves like men in our effort to realize the ideas of West Point in doing our duty to thee and to our country, all of which we ask in the name of the great friend and master of men. Amen. And that prayer is wonderful. And that's a prayer I believe that a cadet would say, at West Point. And I think it could not be more true. Inside there, I think we all saw what it is. You're asking God to give you the strength and the courage and the wisdom to be a good man or a good woman, to be an upright person, to not engage in flippancy, and to not be consumed by irreverence, rather to be consumed by the greatness of God, to be consumed by what is good. I love this one line. To me is my favorite line. It says, never to be content with a half-truth when the whole can be won. And that to me is what we do here. We're not content with half-truths. We're not content with the mainstream fake news media. We're not content with the lies that are being given to us by the intelligence agencies. We're not content with the corruption that was in the previous administrations, previous politicians, previous dignitary or foreign actors and otherwise. We're not content with that. We're content with trusting in God, believing in ourselves and our country and our families. Those are our priorities. And I think it's funny, you watch this prayer and then you read it for yourself, and it's kind of like, I really want to draw nearer to God in sincerity and truth. And I want our religion to be filled with gladness. So, to me, it's just an important thing. And I want to thank you all for watching. So if you don't take anything else away, just remember, God is here for us, and we have to be able to allow God to endow us with the courage that is born of loyalty to Him. So, thank you so much for all of you guys watching here tonight. I hope you guys have a great night. Again, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, now's a great time to do it. Come here, hit the big red subscribe button. But that's going to be it for me. I want to say thank you for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed, and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.